It's a beautiful day for a top 15 clash, and what better way to keep the non-con slate rolling than with a ranked showdown between the Princeton Tigers and the top-ranked Duke Blue Devils from Koskinen Stadium. We welcome you inside the broadcast booth here at Koskinen Stadium alongside former Duke attackman David Keefe, Luke Hallett. David Keefe alongside Luke Hallett. This is a big game for both of these teams. Princeton, they're coming off a win. Duke coming off a loss. Opposite directions in a way, but a really fun matchup.
Yeah, you can't ask for a better setting today. We have an Ivy League ACC weekend, epic showcase, really. And the other night, the Ivy League really took it to the ACC. So we're looking today to see if the Duke team can really dig deep and find a way to, put that massive amount of talent that they have to work for 60 minutes. Ficaro is a senior leader. He's at 61% save percentage. He leads the entire defense, and we'll see where he comes in, but he's in tremendous talent.
So should be a fun matchup as Duke, #1 in the country, Princeton, number 15. As we get things started here from Koskinen Stadium, so happy you could join us on a Sunday morning turned afternoon. The Princeton Tigers 3-1 overall, Duke 4-1. And as we mentioned, Duke coming off that loss to Penn, 14-12. It was a little muddy, it was a little rain-sodden on the field. Duke made a rally, though, and some encouraging points moving forward, you have to think.
Yeah, the game was it was a close game at halftime with Duke behind by 2. Normally, Coach Stanowski is a master at second-half adjustments, and there was a lot of rain, and they were trying to slug through that, but both teams had to do it. And at that point, I think that just Duke came a few goals short of a really good comeback, but we'll see if they reset today.
Palumbo drives in, looking, and already on the board, the Tigers. On their first possession, they're able to put one in the back of the net.
Yeah, it was a great inside move here. He just came in, short stick on short stick, brought him in, and there really wasn't a slide that was timely in the sense that he was going to have any physical harm, or even any impediments. So, I think the Duke's got to slide a little bit quicker on that one, and there needs to be a little bit more pressure on the hands of that shooter.
6th goal of the season for Chad Palumbo, making his 5th straight start. Had a hat trick against Monmouth, 2 against Manhattan. And he's up to his 10th point of the season. And Princeton is on the board first. We saw the Tigers start well against UNC. They picked up a 15-9 win in that contest, and they're picking up where they left off.
Yeah, I thought they played very tough. That was a game where, at that point in the evening, the rain was coming down. It was really a torrential rainstorm. And both teams, could have played real sloppy. What I saw in the middle third of the field with Princeton was a ton of real grit and their ability to win a lot of 50-50 ground balls in the mud. So, they were really digging deep in order to overcome the elements and a tough Carolina team.
How tough is it to play in that type of torrential downpour? How much easier is it to succumb to that type of sloppy play?
Well, there's intangibles, like, your stick operates sometimes a little bit different if you got a super soaked pocket, and obviously the footing, right? And goalies also will have, sometimes a dead ball in front of the crease, meaning the ball slows down in the mud. And that can be a real issue for goalies, being able to read where it's going. Right there, you see Gianfrancano making a great save, but was unable to get that clear going.
Duke looking to equalize. That one a great save again, and Princeton moves it the other way. Past the midline. McAsee will dish it off to the X. 2 good opportunities for the Blue Devils. They come up empty.
Yeah, I think, that was a hard pass for Brendan to make, basically lying on his side, but he was able to pull it off to a tough angle shot.
Tucker Wade looking to attack, probing. This Princeton team coming in averaging about 13 goals per game, and again coming off a 15-9 impressive win in Chapel Hill over the Tar Heels.
Yeah. So it's a great second chance ground ball right there for Princeton. Resets, and those are the kinds of things you want to win if you're Duke right now. I'm going to get on all over that.
Another goal for Princeton. They score once more, and the Tigers are off to a scalding start. Sean Cameron gets the goal.
Great ball. Yeah, right here you've got Brendan O'Neill trying to get it up. Dyson Williams taking a nice shot on Gianfrancano. Great save, and then a second chance ground ball that leads to an opportunistic goal Jamison looking to trying to get some body position on that. It just missed it over stick side.
Just the second goal of the season for Cameron. He was Ivy League All-Tournament last year where he scored 4 goals in the tournament. As Princeton will take the face-off. That's an area where you think Duke can improve after their last game against Penn.
I mean, well, they have the best face-off guy in the nation in Jake, I think, in Jake Naso. He didn't play as well the other night. And so right now, Princeton is off to a good start, though. So, you know, yes, they should be improving from the UPenn game, but there's a lot of time here left to see how he adjusts.
Naso, first-team All-American, led the ACC in face-off win percentage, 62%. Princeton looking to go up 3-0 early. Rockets it in, that's off the cage. Second chance for Princeton. Squirts right near the crease, and Duke will get it.
So, sort of like the Penn game, you know, when you look at it, Penn was able to keep the ball down in the Duke defensive end, especially on the rides and the clears like we're looking at right now. And what does that do? It keeps the ball out of Brennan O'Neal's stick. The best way to defend Brennan O'Neal is to not have him have the ball. And I think he got a little cold the other night because he just didn't have the ball as much. The ball was really in the middle third or down at the other end, the offensive end of the field for UPenn. So that slowed the game down quite a bit. And, you know, that's not what, you know, Duke is used to scoring 21 goals a game, now 17 goals a game going in. But it was 7.
And it's flicked in by the Blue Devils as Johnston gets the Blue Devils on the board. And he's a little slow to get up after the goal. We'll take another look.
Yeah, great individual effort. He pulls in a little bit of an inside face dodge, comes in, and you know, really almost takes on the whole team in order to get this done. Great shot.
That's Zawada who had the goal.
Oh, Zawada, okay. There you go.
His 12th goal of the season. Good to see him jogging off under his own power.
Great.
And so Zawada looks like he'll be okay as he jogs off the field.
Yeah.
Might have just gotten nicked up on that shot attempt. Lucky he found the back of the net. That's the most important thing. But I don't want to see somebody go down, especially this early in the game, important player like Zawada.
Yeah.
Tigers win the face-off. Quick moving. Already 2 saves for Jamison. Gianfrancaro with 3 saves. Duke team allowing just about 10 goals per contest, coming off that 14-12 loss, though, to UPenn. Princeton team with a W over North Carolina. They do have a loss to an ACC foe. That's Maryland, 13-7.
Yep. And, you know, this right now, the ACC has, within the last week or so, had a number of, almost everyone has a loss or 2 to non-conference teams. So this is this is a very, you know, very much of an interesting place for the ACC to be, including, again, losses to teams like Maryland and Army, and yesterday Hopkins. So you've got a lot of ACC non-conference losses building up early, and a great, obviously, Virginia Hopkins game yesterday where Hopkins won, which was, I think, just a really good back-and-forth game. Probably a classic. You know, if you really love watching the sport.
Duke loses possession, able to scoop it up off the ground. Blue Devils looking to equalize with 24 seconds on the shot clock. Lost it in a created turnover. Princeton moves looking for goal number 3.
Yeah, so we are seeing it is still a little slippery. We had an epic amount of rain the other night that carried well after both games concluded. Yesterday was a dry out day for this field, but it can only absorb so much. So you're you're really going to probably see a few guys slipping and sliding around as they initiate their dodges.
And you caught the field conditions. You were down there seeing exactly just how it was. I mean, it's not exactly ideal after you have that type of torrential downpour.
Yeah, these fields need a good 72 hours to usually to soak it up. Beautiful save.
That's a great save from Jamison as he's able to net it. And the counterattack begins for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, I think that's, a lot of times great saves lead to good offense, so let's see what happens.
And taken down, looks like that's going to be a penalty. As he's chopped down already, was there some laundry right around the mid-stripe. We'll take another replay. Look first, looking at that save from Jamison.
Yeah, beautiful. He had eyes on that. He saw his point of release, and then you've got the gargantuan shot by O'Neal. Big celebration. Giova and Carl looking for where the ball went. Can't find it. Duke scores. Yeah, they were both playing under the same conditions, but UPenn adjusted better. I think Duke, was really sort of across the board was underperforming. But sometimes you got to say, like, UPenn forced them to make a lot of those careless mistakes or errors or things of that nature. So, I think that this is a game where it's got to be a full reset, because those kinds of numbers are not going to bring you deep into May.
Under 8 minutes to play in the first quarter. In that game, Brennan O'Neal did not have his strongest performance, but it's only a matter of time before he really gets going again.
Yeah, Brennan O'Neal doesn't play in a vacuum. He plays with a great attack with Dyson Williams and Zawada, and they are all, they all have their responsibilities and their roles. I think they just got a little bit out of sync the other game, and I think they're sharing the rock, making sure they're making smart shots and smart decisions could make all the difference in the world.
Mackesy probing. Brings it out. Mackesy so impressive with 10 goals, 8 assists so far this season.
Yeah, he's really the field general. He controls the tempo. He calms down the two freshmen that he plays with, but he also lets them play and build their confidence and their game abilities. So this is a great matchup. An award.
And they will give it back to Duke.
That's a ward. You don't really see that called a lot. Usually it happens when the guy stops moving his feet, but they've really stopped calling wards when you're actually moving your feet and you're coming around the cage. The goal line extended. A lot of times the attackman has their arm up. They don't really call that, but if you stop moving your feet and you're getting, that kind of like body pressure and you use your arm, you're gonna get called for that.
So Mackesy gives it over to Duke. Blue Devils will look to take the lead for the first time today.
Yeah, and I think Coach Madelon wanted to do a reality check calling that timeout just now. I just think he wanted to just say, listen, guys, we know we can play with these guys, but we don't want to let this go, so let's use a timeout and resettle. Or he saw something he just did not like, and he wanted to correct it before Duke had the ability to capitalize.
28 on the shot clock for Duke. Good to see Zawada back in. He ran off the field under his own power after scoring. 18 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a push from behind with possession. McAdory caught that with almost no angle, took the shot, and you'll see, he's open for a nanosecond, gets it, push from behind with possession, gets the shot off, and Duke will have the man-up advantage now.
They will call that on Kistler. He started every game. 4 ground balls and 2 straight.
I watched Balsamo, number 1. He's going to probably roll to the crease eventually, and he's a really good, positioning shooter from the crease on man up. He'll get open, whether he's facing the goalie or whether he's facing up top, and get that quick shot off.
That one off the ground and in the net. It's the spirit, the heart of this Duke team coming through with the 3rd goal for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, he's the Energizer Bunny. Andrew McAdory. Beautiful ball movement, found the open player. He takes a really good shot. Again, he almost always shoots off of his hip, so it hides the ball from a point of release, and it goes right in offside against one of the best goalies in the country who has a 62% save percentage. So, really good, movement on offense right there. That's an encouraging thing for the Blue Devils for man up.
Double-digit goals for McAdory. And you painted it well against one of the best goalies in the entire country. That's not an easy thing to do, and he just flicked that right past him. And I think part of that can be attributed to the deception.
Well, I've been with him and seen him when he's not playing, and just watching him and how physically fit he is. But his low center of gravity, and he has a shot where he comes off of his hip, and it's all torsion. It's almost like when you watch someone who's can drive the ball 350 yards in golf. It's how they torque and spin off. So that's
back-to-back goals for Duke. The offense is flowing. Williams gets one, and it's 4-2 Blue Devils.
Heads up play by Balsamo. He sees it. He's got the opportunity right there with a slip. He comes in, instead taking the shot, passes off to Dyson Williams, who is the NCAA sharpshooter in the league. He's the #1 draft pick for the Canadian Indoor League, and he's not going to miss that shot today.
Duke is doubling up Princeton after falling behind 2-0. And it felt like the Tigers came out, were executing their game plan right off the bat. But what have you seen from Duke so far to answer, kind of gain their footing throughout the last 5-6 minutes?
Yeah, well, I've seen Duke. First of all, we're not making first half mistakes that we made against UPenn. So that's number one. I think they're being smarter. They're finding the open guy off of the dodges. So they dodge and they look for the open person, and that would be Zawada, that play that set up McAdory for the penalty. That would be Balsamo right now setting up Dyson. So they're looking for that extra pass, which is finding open players who have better shooting opportunities.
Last 4 belonging to the Blue Devils.
I think against UPenn there were too many one-on-one efforts where it was just like me and the goalie. And you're not going to win a lot of those.
Horde of Blue Devils able to dislodge. And a stoppage for a moment, and Duke will get it. And Princeton will call timeout.
He treats it as an educator. He really looks at it and says, lacrosse happens to be the medium or the mechanism, but I'm an educator first and foremost. And that's what I love about him. And his players do as well.
It's kind of that fraternity of coaching, so to speak.
Yeah.
You have guys that want to learn from one another and guys that do learn from other tactics and other strategies that coaches use. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and they help each other a tremendous amount, in terms of program development. They share advice. They work with each other in the off season. And I think that's part of the respect for the game.
McAsee looking for something. He's been quiet so far. Princeton scoring the first 2, Duke with the last 4. That one's a reach and a miss.
Yeah, that was a great defensive play because, he had him turned. He wasn't going to get a penalty for push from behind because his shoulders had already squared. So he was able to make that. It would have been an amazing shot if he got it in, but it was a really good defensive play.
Shot clock gives it back to Duke as the Blue Devils counter.
I think the Blue Devils are playing with just a little bit of a higher degree of precision and intensity right now. They're not wondering who's going to take the next shot, or there really isn't a lot of confusion. They're executing their game plan is what I'm saying.
How much urgency do you think they have after that recent loss to UPenn?
Well, we've lost to UPenn in the early season a number of times because Mike Murphy has such a great program. I happen to play with him. He's a teammate of mine. He's a very good friend of mine, and he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's in 11 games against Duke. He's won 6, right, in the Danowski-Murphy era. So he's an incredible coach, right? And at the same time, you got to look at it and say, how many times have we, as a Duke team, lost and then moved to UPenn, or early season loss and then moved into the Final Four, and it's more than a few. So, that's part of Coach Danowski's. He's known for development over the March and April periods into May.
No one's a finished product at the beginning of the season, and although your character may be developed during that portion of the season, still a lot that can be improved upon. Another save as Princeton denies once more. Tigers go on the offensive. Makasi behind the cage as they whip it. Kabiri. And we hit it on at the beginning of the broadcast. What Colin Burns, Nate Kabiri, and Coulter Makasi bring to this offense is not only about 50%, 45% of the goals, but they can really stretch you out.
Yeah, they play with an uncanny amount of composure with two freshmen. So I think that's an important thing. I want to go back to that last shot, though, with Ben Johnson. It was a really good shot. He's got a cannon. If I'm Duke right now, I'm telling them to mix it up high and low, and the reason is because it's wet on the crease, and you do not know what kind of bounce you're going to get in this kind of conditions, and sometimes it can go to your advantage, meaning you could shoot and the ball hits low and stays low versus hitting low and going high. And that is a huge advantage sometimes for attackmen. So they should really be thinking about, hey, let's try to put it on the ground quite a bit and up top to mix up the levels.
15 seconds. And the Blue Devils will take it. Princeton has been unable to crack the code when it's come to that Duke defense. They continue to try and get a goal, can't crack it.
Well, listen, there were some adjustments made, right? And also, every team is a different matchup. Games are usually won and lost because, you know, if you've got going from game A to game B, you know, Carolina, for example, to Duke, you're going to have different matchups, and that's why I love this game. There are no two games that are the same.
That one's in the back of the net as well. Duke gets another.
So someone about 3 minutes ago just said that Ben Johnson should shoot on the ground to take advantage of the wet crease. I don't know. I have to say.
Someone who knows what they're talking about.
You know, I'm just saying, you know, shoot on the ground, and you don't know exactly what kind of bounce you're going to get. And I think that this is a very classic textbook case of that.
That one did take a weird hop. Might have even bounced off of the framework.
It actually took a skip. Normally, when you have mud like that, it can either hit and die, and then throw the goalie's timing off, or it can hit and accelerate. And that's what that one happened. It hit and it skipped. It's like tennis when you have topspin on a serve. It hits and then it accelerates. You see the Blue Devils right now are playing basically like Princeton played against Carolina. The other night, they're controlling the middle third of the field. They're winning the 50-50s. And they're all over. They're charging right now. And I think that this is actually what a sort of, in a weird way, what Princeton did to Carolina the other night.
Williams almost got another opportunity right near the crease. Unable to finish as Duke with 12 seconds left.
They're taking care of the ball.
Under 10 seconds to play. Blue Devils looking for another and got it. Zawada gets his second, and with 4 seconds before the first quarter ends, Duke is in control.
Yeah. Sometimes a player will will themselves to do great things. This is Zawada, knowing how much time is on the clock, willing himself, putting his body on the line, coming around the goal with reckless almost abandon and saying, I will decide. And he decided right there. Amazing goal by Josh Zawada.
4.3 seconds remain, the 13th goal for Zawada. He came in with 29 points already. Michigan transfer, all Big Ten first team. And the Blue Devils have to feel good about where they're feeling going into the second quarter, leading 6-2, the last 6 unanswered. The Blue Devils, 12 of which were on goal, forced 6 Princeton saves as they have a 6-2 lead, and they'll take the opening face-off of quarter number 2. And direct an immediate attack. Going straight for the jugular.
Yeah, they're going to get their subs on right now. Great. Now that's what Jake Naso really is all about. You know, he's going to give you that opportunity to get some quick offense right off the X, off the face-off. But there's always going to be a backup when he's coming down there because he's going to try to take that shot that is either going to hit the goal and be a good shot, or it's going to give you that opportunity.
O'Neal misfires, aiming for that low far corner.
That's one of his textbook dodges. He brings you out on the wing and then brings it over and crosses over, and at the last minute switches over to his left hand and tries to get you on the outside there.
35 seconds on the Blue Devil attack. Johnston probing. Slams on the brakes. They'll bring it out with 30.
Slusher right there.
Slusher looking for something.
Princeton transfer, I believe, yeah.
And what's interesting is Princeton is not a program, really a school that has many transfers, period, but you have a couple on the Blue Devil side instead.
Yeah, I mean, because of the Ivy League rules, guys, are in.
And a spin around and a shot. Zawada again. He cashes in already 3 goals, and it's a 7-2 Duke lead.
Classic dodge. Question mark. He comes around, switches hands, question mark, puts it 5-hole. One of those things where when you do a question mark dodge, the goalie really is not going to be able to see the release point until the very last second, and usually it's coming down on him because you dive up in the air, turn your body, and then come back with your dominant hand. So it's really, it's a tough proposition. Brendan O'Neill does it all the time. He comes around the right side, question mark, switches over to a strong left hand, and just pounds it home.
It's another hat trick for Zawada. And this Duke team, 7 unanswered. They are breaking it open after the Princeton Tigers. They really shell-shocked, it felt like, Duke for just a moment. First couple minutes, Princeton was up 2-0, and you're wondering, hey, are they going to be able to really bounce back from that game against UPenn?
Well, every game, when you're playing Duke and they're #1 team in the nation, and right now even the rankings are going to change, they're still #1 in the nation. This is this is your Super Bowl, and you're going to come in and you're going to be high as a kite. So you're going to play, but I think once everyone settles in, everyone understands again the matchups, because every game's different. You might one game feel like you have an advantage over a defender. The next game you're really having a tough time. So probing in the first quarter, feeling out those matchups. Beautiful check right there. That was Balsamo trying to do a little bit of an inside move and just got it, left the stick hanging a little bit. But yes, it's I think right now they're both settling in, and it's a really understanding where the matchups in the scouting report exactly what I'm now seeing on the field today, right? They're trying to figure that out, and many times they're like, yeah, this was accurate, or no, this is something that I actually discovered now in this first quarter.
Everything changes once you actually get out there and you have to execute. Things are different.
Yeah, the scout gets you about 80% there, and then you get on the field.
Sometimes it's more art than science, as they say. You have to figure it out. Princeton looking to stop the bleeding. Palumbo will kick it out. Kabiri, he's been quiet. Said his name a few times. He's looking to make his mark on this game. Misfires, and he'll stay with the Tigers.
Yeah, I don't know if that hit, but they're not giving a reset, so.
It's been over 15 minutes without a goal for this Princeton team. Tigers came out of the gates hot with a 2-0 lead. They're looking to try and answer. Good play and better defense on the inside.
I feel sort of like that was a play that happened with Duke against UPenn. UPenn was forcing us to take rushed shots or shots that were inopportune, and that's exactly what we're doing to Princeton right now. So it's interesting how the tides turn. But back to what we were talking about at Princeton, there are transfers out because of the Ivy League rules, but they've only had 5. We learned that they've only had 5 transfers across all of their sports in the last 30 years.
That's incredible. I mean, when you think of the transfer portal nowadays, and you think of how prevalent it is for XYZ reason, and then only to have 5 over the last 30 years.
5 across all sports. Because we were on the call and we were just talking about transfers, and they just said that they haven't had that, which is interesting. It's just it's a different approach.
From the hip. That one almost rattled the cage. There's 23 on the shot clock.
They're calling for a reset.
And they will reset it at 60. Delayed reset. You saw the Duke sideline looking for that reset.
Well, you heard it. I mean, it hit the pipe.
That's why I was surprised. Didn't see any of the reset yet.
Yeah. And Zawada's an amazing guy, because he grew up here, but he went to Hill Academy and learned all the finer points of box lacrosse playing with Dyson Williams. So those two have a lot of muscle memory and telepathy that goes back years.
It's a good save from Princeton. prevent the 8th Duke goal. How imperative is it to build that camaraderie, that teamwork with some of the guys before you get here, if you can?
Well, we have Kabiri and Burns, right? They're Georgetown Prep, and you know, from what we know, they played together. They played together for many years, and they do. They have that sort of, you know, I call it, lacking a better term, telepathy. They know where each other is going to be, and
that's a screamer off the cage. It's just so important to be able to know where other players are.
Kenny Brower, right? Hustle. Right? He saw that. He saw that was going to be potentially going over to the Tigers, and he hustles up from the restraining line to get to the midfield line, so he's closest to the ball, even though he's not an offensive player. Here's Denenza.
And a great save again.
4 goals the other night, career high, and he's trying to power it by the veteran goalie.
Denenza scored in 4 of 5 games. Had 10 shots against the Quakers as well. Teams will cycle players as Kabiri had it for a moment. Still looking to get him and Burns involved in this game. McAsee's had more time with the ball.
Yeah.
But that being said, they haven't worked Burns and Kabiri quite as much as we might have expected.
No, I mean, the ball's been, again, time of possession has been at the other end, so they've been a little cold in that regard. That was a great defensive play right there. I mean,
McAsee, he was stood up.
Yeah, he just got mugged. But beautiful save.
Quick tic-tac-toe passing, and Jamison dissuades and erases. Into the attacking third goal, the Blue Devils.
Yeah, so that was a great play, but then you got to sort of get your emotions in check, which is very hard when you're running at about, you know, 16, 17 miles an hour down the field. Okay, so we're seeing a red-hot performance by Jamison right now.
That one, another deflection. Princeton will have a second chance. But again, that was a transition opportunity. Princeton came down after what you said was a quick opportunity for the Blue Devils.
Yeah.
And they had a good-looking chance. And again, Jamison makes it happen.
Hey, when you pan out on this game right now, though, what you're looking at is Duke is forcing the Tigers to respond to them. And what the Tigers want to do is they want to shift it. They want to make it sure so that the defense is responding to their offense. And right now, the offense is responding to the Duke defense. You don't want they're dictating the tempo the Duke defense is, in terms of quality of shots, in terms of dodging opportunities, and that's something that needs to change if you're the Tigers.
Burns with it behind the goal, hoping to make his mark on this contest. Spin from Burns, and another opportunity goes by the wayside for Princeton. How about Jamison?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at, you know, much like UPenn, the other night, the UPenn goalie was playing on his head. I mean, he was he was just. It wasn't that we were making him look good and taking bad shots. The Devils. It was just that, you know, he was playing great. And sometimes the worst thing that can happen is you run into a hot goalie.
And Jamison has been hot today.
Okay, so this is an example of got to move the ball, don't get in trouble, and try to take on the whole defense. You know, you got to share the rock and let everyone have their matchups and find that, value the ball and find that great opportunity.
They value, and Blue Devils will have another opportunity with 31 on the shot clock.
Okay.
Approaching 6 minutes to play. Quick move, that one a bouncer and saved.
Yeah, probably too far out. You know, the goalie with 61% save percentage wants a shot like that. You know, I think that was not the most judicious shot you could take right there. Because, you really, again, you want to take the best possible high opportunity shots and work for those shots.
They've been mixing it tall and short with how their shots have been executed today. But that one not quite as judicious, as David said.
Yeah, I wanted to use the word judicious at least twice this week, so.
You and I both have it now, too.
There you go. Yeah, last week the word of the week was patina. So
That one's a little tougher to work in, I would think.
It was just, we were just having a moment.
Anytime you can have a moment or two on a broadcast, that's how you know you're having fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's 7-2. The Blue Devils have scored the last 7 after Princeton came out and scored a couple in the first few minutes, but Jamison has been electric in the cage so far. And with 5 minutes to play, Duke again on the offensive side.
Yeah, I just think I see it just in a much different team. Duke is playing with purpose. They're really mapping out. They're looking at the matchups. That was a perfect example. When you really look at it, Johnson was coming out. He saw that he had a step, and then he pivots back, takes a step, boom, puts it past. Great goalie, upper corner. Gianfrancaro didn't even see it. So the Devils are dictating the pace and everything to the Tigers.
And go out there, take on ranked team, tough team, game in and game out, and play like he's playing so far.
In a way, because you're a freshman, you are nervous. But in another way, because you're a freshman, you have nothing to lose, right? So you're excited, but it's good nervous energy, right? And I think the thing is, when you see a freshman that catches fire, sometimes they don't even understand how well they're playing and how they're doing it. They just know they're doing it. So it's exciting to see that.
It's like no one knows how high the ceiling is for a certain type of player. You're going out there, You have nervous, infectious energy, but it's a good energy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where it's a pleasure to watch.
Quick pass and a rip. Duke continues to pour it on. This one, Williams. Blue Devils with a 9-2 lead.
Yeah, it's just a smart play, and I think you saw some blown coverage right there on the left side, and then right afterwards you see the Princeton defenders sort of getting on each other and talking to each other. So there was definitely some miscommunication. Wide open player, and Dyson is not the guy you want to have a catch on the doorstep.
That was point blank range for him. Easy money for his second today. Princeton will look for an answer. It's been over 22 minutes since they've scored. Here's a prime opportunity, and they do just that. Colin Burns making his mark on this contest with his first goal of the game.
Yeah, it was a very nice face-off, leading to quick offense. Really pressured and made the right pass, got it off, tic-tac-toe, a beautiful finish right there over the head of Jamison, and that's the way it's supposed to look. That's a textbook fast break off the face-off.
11th goal of the season for the freshman Colin Burns, the high school All-American. He did not score against the Maryland Terrapins, but he has 3 or more goals in 3 games this year.
Yeah, I mean, these freshmen are really just playing way above their station for Princeton, and that's good to see.
Tigers trying to claw their way back in, trailing by 6. They snapped an over 23-minute scoreless drought. They will give that to Princeton. The Tigers will regain possession.
Yeah, so I mean, we were the offense was making some substitutions there, and I don't know if that was the most judicious pass that Josh could have made. Having just won a great faceoff, and you don't want to give the ball back to Princeton now that they just scored a goal.
Tigers will look to garner more positive momentum. Duke has outshot the Tigers 25-17 so far. Faceoffs, though, in favor of the Tigers 9-5. They dish it off for Burns once more. He is leveled, and Princeton will get it with 40 on the shot clock. Here comes Kabiri, another freshman. Long history with Burns. Kabiri a spin.
The defense for Duke is pushing out, really putting a lot of pressure on them and extending the offense out, so making them really make long passes and contested passes, as you can see right there.
Lost that one. It's on the ground. And it stays.
Push on White. He'll stay with the Tigers.
Resets the shot clock to 60.
But you can see just right here the shape. You know, the Blue Devils are pressing that way out. They're confident about their matchups, and this is a way to keep tempo, you know, so that you're really, you know, not letting up at all.
Low shot and a great save. It was Kabiri looking for another opportunity, and Jamison continues his remarkable performance.
And that shot was an outgrowth of what I was just talking about, which is they have everyone pushed out so far. You got the shot clock going, and eventually you have to take a shot, and he took a shot from too far out at that point for them to have a reasonable chance to score on Jamison, who is, you know, playing right now at 75% save percentage. So
incredible stuff from Jamison. He allowed 6 goals or fewer entering the Penn game. Of course, UPenn coming away with the 14-12 win in a rain-soaked affair here at Koskinen Stadium, with the Blue Devils up 9-3 in the late second quarter here. Almost 10-3 as that one bounces away.
Great hustle. Here, right there, those 50-50 ground balls. Second chance offense opportunities right now. Balsamo's got the ball, and you know he's a very, very high IQ player. Here's Denenza's going to trying to work some more magic from goal line extended like last Friday night. He does a great inside roll, and
had it taken away.
Trail check. Second time today that they've had a trail check on Balsamo. He's trying his best to get that dodge going, but he's got to bring that stick in a little bit and to avoid that trail check.
Few too many passes right near the cage as Duke had an opportunity and they can't convert. Mackesy. He'll take his time, still plenty of time on the shot clock. Kicks it out for Wade. They go behind the goal, working all angles. Kicked right in, Jamison again. He's a brick wall today, and he makes another one. .40 seconds to play in quarter number 2. Blue Devils on the counter, and that one's in again. Duke able to convert in transition from the save to the goal. Duke firing on all cylinders. It was a Colin Burns goal. But Duke has again added on with the Caputo goal to extend that lead back to 7.
Yeah, and Jake Naso is playing really well at the X right now. So, you know, that is a big difference between this game and last game. And I think he dug deep and said, you know, what do I need to do? And then Dyson Williams was the silver medal winner on the Canada team. He's the #1 draft pick in the indoor league, Canadian Indoor League. So he's going to really have a great future there. And he's, you know, his roots are there. His dad was an amazing box player as well, indoor player. So it's exciting, you know, to have all those that much great talent.
Duke picks it up. It was loose for a moment. Princeton had it for a second. 9.9 seconds.
This is going to be interesting.
Can Duke strike quickly? O'Neal gives it up, and they do. What a beautiful play. Williams converts again, and the Blue Devils, with under 10 seconds before the second frame sounds, are able to convert.
Yeah, beautiful play. A lot of the attention started going over to Brendan O'Neal, and he knew that. And he knew his counterpart.
It really is a tale of 2 games for the Blue Devils as Williams gets the hat trick. 4 seconds left before the second quarter ends, and that will send us to halftime. 11-3. Duke with the lead at the break, and a beautiful goal to finish things off with under 10 seconds left. Duke comes through in a big way. We will take us to halftime with another replay of that goal. Duke leading by 8, 11-3. Halftime coming up next with the Blue Devils up big. Princeton team coming off a win over North Carolina 15-9. They took a loss to Maryland 13-7, but they had dominant wins over Monmouth and Manhattan prior to that. Top 15 team in the country Surprising to see Princeton go down by 8 perhaps at the break, but at the same time, you know this is a capable team, to your point, that can put goals together if they have to.
Right, and what you just saw right there at the X is a big reason why we're having a different, the Devils are having a different experience today, is because they are winning the faceoffs.
They so doing a great job on faceoffs today, as Duke will look to add on to the 8-goal advantage. Johnston will patrol for just a moment, and Duke will give it over to McAdory. Slings it in and bounces one more. Picking up where they left off in half number 1. The Blue Devils pouring it on the Tigers.
Andrew McAdory gets a step and, really has a lot of time and space to shoot. There wasn't a slide in this middle alley, so he just kept down, used that high torsion, bounce shot, offside hip, and, that's his signature shot for him. Can't give him a step if you're Princeton.
33 seconds into the third quarter, and Duke has struck again. So the Blue Devils in tremendous shape to bounce back from their defeat against UPenn. Their next home game against the Providence Friars, of course, on the 13th, but Duke is in position to shake off a defeat in the rain-sodden Koskinen Stadium.
Yeah. I think that last goal was actually a really important statement goal coming out of the first half. Score quickly, reestablish that level of dominance that the Devils had in the first half.
They'll swing it around over to Palumbo with 1 goal today on his ledger. Palumbo spins, plays it close to the crease. 40 seconds on the shot clock for Princeton.
Great defense by by Boyer right there.
That one wide of the cage. Didn't look like Jamison got any part of it.
Keith Boyer is known to be an excellent athlete, so he can get right up on quick attackmen and offensive players and really be an annoyance to them.
Dunphy with under 20. Gives it over for Kabiri. Kabiri slings it wide and misfires.
You see Duke stretching them out. They're pushing them out, making them take shots they actually really don't want to. And those weren't shots that they were taking against Carolina. Their shots against Carolina were a lot more right on the crease. And that's a beautiful, beautiful run out by Jamison.
Terrific hustle.
Yeah, great hustle, giving the Blue Devils possession. And that's just smart lacrosse play by him.
He was able to beat the nearest Tiger right to that spot. It was Burns and a couple other players in that area. And heck of a hustle from Jamison.
This is McGuire. He's one of the fastest in the middle third that I've seen in years, but he can really move when he wants to, clearing the ball.
And Duke again goes on the offensive assault. 30 shots today, 22 of which have been on goal for the Blue Devils. Quick discard for Denenza.
He had multiple steps in that opportunity.
Gives it off, Denenza gets it back. Denenza shoots and a good save. Gianfrancaro has been busy today, and he's able to come through with a pivotal stop, try and stop some of that Blue Devil bleeding.
I actually, even though that was a nice save by Vaccaro, I think that was an intelligent shot by Denenza. He was well within the range to try to beat the goalie, and it seemed to hit and slow down a little bit, which probably made it easier for Vaccaro to get his eyes on it.
Another save from Jamison as that one was ripped right near that offensive third. Under 12 minutes to play in the third frame. Blue Devils with a terrific first half, and they have come out and put their foot to the metal. Already scoring in this third frame. They go back and forth. Johnston gives it off. Sloat. Back to Johnston. Quick move, Johnston probes. O'Neal looking for something. He was quiet against UPenn. They haven't needed him as much today.
Well, and that's a sign of a really balanced, talented team. And he'll show up when he needs to.
Here's O'Neal with a rip and a good save. Here's O'Neal showing up. He had an opportunity.
Yeah, it was a tough angle on that one. I mean, even with the power that he brings to his shots, having almost no angle on a goalie like Gia Ficarro is gonna be a tough proposition.
That one's loose, and the Blue Devils come up with it. O'Neal in transition, open opportunity, and they make him pay. Zawada having a day.
Gritty play in the middle of the field. Tyler Carpenter, All-American, picks that ball up, makes quick business of it down to Brendan O'Neal, who sees Josh Zawada, and that's an automatic goal at that point. Beautiful, beautiful play. Bing, bang, boom, and there's nothing really that the Tigers can do.
Nobody able to catch up with Zawada. 4 goals and an assist, his 7th career game with 4 or more goals. He has been the fulcrum of the offensive attack today, and Duke is looking to pour it on further, leading already by double digits. Tigers regain possession, badly needing a goal, trying to claw their way back into this one. And for Princeton, at one point leading 2-0, a couple of minutes into the game, Duke has come out and stamped out any Princeton momentum.
Yeah.
.55 seconds to shoot for Princeton.
Hey, just watch how spread out the Duke defense is making them play, and they're not getting even close to what they would call optimum shooting range off their dodges, and they're really forcing them out.
Flag comes out. The freshman Kabiri was possessing.
Appeared to be inadvertent. He was checking him, and then it slid off of the shoulder up into the head. But it is a head call. Good call.
Mackesy with 20 seconds. He spins. Discouraged again. Several Devils in the way. Mackesy has it checked and taken away. And so we'll look one more time. I know you see it there.
Yeah, he just came up. I mean, that's definitely a foul. Probably trying to lay in a slap check or a poke check in there, and it just rode right up, and there's nothing to stop that.
It's called on Bard for the slash. Princeton 4 goals, a man up this season.
Princeton wants to be very programmatic on this, formulaic. They want to work their man up like they have. That wasn't what they wanted to do. Taking a long shot from far out within the first 6 or 7 seconds of the possession is not a good execution of man up probably for them at this point.
You're really expecting them to pass it around maybe 15, 20, 25 seconds.
Yeah, work it. I mean, the goal of that possession is to get a goal, not to get a quick goal. So why not fight for the best shot? Princeton is going to get back into this 1 goal at a time, and they do have enough time, but they don't have an infinite amount of time. So I can understand if the people want to rush, but that's not the shot. If you got a shot like that and it's quick and you're right on the goal, yeah, that's one thing. But that was way far out.
And they came up empty on that opportunity, and so Duke content to continue possession and stamp out this Princeton opportunity. Tigers will move quickly, trailing by 10, needing some offense.
That slowed the breakdown right there. Allowed everyone to even up a bit. And again, they're pushing. Look how far out they are. right? And that's when they're doing that, they're expending a lot of energy, making long passes they don't necessarily want to make, and they have to move the ball much greater distances. So it becomes, over time, it becomes a real drain on that offense.
They keep working around, 40 seconds to shoot. Here is Burns. Burns tried to wrap around, couldn't do it. McAsee sees a second body and instead will try and pass it off to a teammate. He gives it off, up in the air, and Jamison got it.
Now let's see what the freshman does.
Leading the counter is Jamison.
Smart.
And he'll give that off.
Yep, smart.
That's a wise opportunity because you can only wait so long before you have to get back to your post.
Well, also, if you watched the game on Friday night, he got trapped. And I don't think he'd ever really experienced that in college at that point, but he got trapped at the midfield line. UPenn picked up the ball and basically had an open net goal. So that was actually the polar opposite of what he did the other day, and that's just, you learn.
You said to me pregame you learn more from losses than you do from wins. Perhaps that's an example.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if that was a pretty long shot for Brennan to take again. Again, this is one of the best goalies in the country, so got to make sure that that shot's something that you have a high probability of getting in, even though you're Brendan O'Neill. I think there's a time when you might want to try to get a little closer.
The Duke defense has been rock solid today, holding Princeton to just 3 goals. They've had 25 shots, 13, I think that 12 saved from Jamison today. Right near the crease, on the ground, Jamison got it. And that'll stick with Princeton instead.
They're calling that a push, but the ball had already been dislodged, so at best it's a push, which is an interference with the play. But once that ball's on the ground, they can scrum for it. So I normally don't like to criticize the refs, but I don't see that call.
It stays with the Tigers as they probe again. In the air and now on the ground. Duke takes it. They've done a good job getting to those 50-50s. Another ground ball that goes the way of Duke.
I think they've done an excellent job. Beyond good. I mean, that's almost the difference in the whole composure of this game. Then when you look at that, how well they are beating a very, very fast Princeton team to the ball. And they're clogging up the middle with a lot of really good interceptions, knockdowns on some of those passes that they're trying to weave through the center. Some of those passes they're doing from far distance is what I said before. They push them to the periphery, and when you're getting pressure, you're going to have to find a way to get that ball inside. And those passes, they're almost telegraphing, and the Devils are knocking them down.
That one's off the top of the cage.
Zawada again getting that step from behind. I think he knows I've got this matchup. It's not going to change. I just have to get the ball and see if I can replicate it over and over again.
Zawada has been impressive today with 4 goals and an assist. His 7th game with 4 or more goals in his career.
We've got Slusher in there, Princeton transfer playing on attack. He was a real solid player for Princeton for many years.
Honorable mention, all Ivy.
Yep. Number 13. Imagine what that's like for him playing on this field with all his friends.
Bouncing around in the crease, Princeton has it. You have to imagine that's an emotional game, so to speak.
Yeah,
playing
definitely
against a team where all the guys, barring a couple of freshmen that might be new to the team. Everybody, the coaching staff. That's got to be tough as a player, and it really hypes you up.
I'd say so. I mean, as well, when you look at, how do you sort of separate the two when you're out there? And I love these guys. I played with them for years, but now they're my arch enemies on the field.
Tough to try and flip that switch, so to speak. But Slusher from Portland, Oregon, 5'9", 185, had 46 goals with the Princeton Tigers in 2022. And his Blue Devils now with a 10-goal lead and make it 9. That one sneaks past Jamison. A good flick from McAsee. McAsee able to get this goal right past the Duke defense, and he cashes in, narrows the deficit. It's still 13-4 with the Blue Devils in front. But North Carolina with a 7-6 lead. Fourth quarter just getting underway between Penn and UNC. Princeton cashing in on a goal. McAsee able to get one, sneak it past Jamison. And it's been a tall task today. Sterling stuff today from the freshman. Allowed 6 goals or fewer entering the match against UPenn.
Yeah. Well, you know, both goalies, you know, have, you know, a solid number of saves going into the fourth quarter. So that's number one. But I think that, you know, when I'm looking at Duke, they just don't have the careless turnovers they had the other night, and they have more of a plan. You know, they're things like that too. You know, they're getting really good takeaway checks and turnovers, cause turnovers galore, and that's something that I think is a
lot of fighting back right near the out of bounds line. Flags were flying as well. And Princeton will cycle through some bodies. It's just a little too physical back there, and the Blue Devils are unable to try and create that turnover.
Yeah. I'd like to see, unless something's egregious, I'd like to see the refs let them play when you have things like that going. Because the defense, you know, they have some great takeaways. Let the offense let Princeton try to get that ball back. I didn't see any egregious checks, fouls, or pushes on that one.
Man up for 30 seconds of the Tigers. Needing a goal to claw back into this game. Kabiri will kick it, and a direct save right at the chest plate of Jamison.
So I think Duke really wants to get this clear and then maybe do some clock management right now. You want to maybe go in right now with a final score, maybe 2. But keeping the ball out on this side of the field for them, I think is really important for a momentum shift, because then you're going in with you know, all of the sort of things working in your way into the fourth quarter. So slowing this down, taking the full, they have 48 seconds left, working it for a nice goal to counter that one that Princeton just scored.
Just a couple of opportunities remaining for both sides in quarter number 3. Offense has been at a premium in the third frame. 3 combined goals, 2 coming from Duke, one of which came in the first minute of the third quarter. But Duke has kept their foot on the gas.
See, they're going over Balsamo's head. They're trying to get that trail check. He tucked it in that time, which was very nice. But that was something that they're trying to work.
Fitted into a tight window, and somehow they score. Williams finds a non-existent crease and puts it in.
Yeah, that was one of the nicest box lacrosse moves I've seen. You know, you could throw it into any tight place, and Dyson Williams can catch it, and then with 3 guys on him, work that magic. I mean, how does this work? This is one of the nicest shots I've seen all year. And he was raised doing this. He's an expert. Tight end lacrosse, catch it in any hand, score in any hand, pass from any hand. You know, and it just baffles the mind when you see things like that. Amazing play. Here comes Princeton back.
30 seconds for the Tigers. That's the 4th goal today for Dyson Williams. Under 30 to play. It's back to a 10-goal advantage for Duke. They'll test the mettle of the freshman Jamison once more. Ten seconds for the Tigers. A bouncer Duke collects.
You know, not a bad shot, but again, how far out was that? You know, that was very far out. and I don't know if that was necessarily the best shot they could have taken.
3 quarters are in the books. Duke with a 14-4 lead. Williams with 4 goals. Zawada with 4 goals as well. And the offense and the defense for the Blue Devils clicking on all cylinders. 4th quarter coming up next. Duke up double figures. 4 advantage. They have shaken off the cobwebs from their loss against the UPenn Quakers 14-12 on Friday. And they are playing excellent today, and especially Jamison in net. He has been sterling with 13 saves. And Duke in prime position to come away with this one, but they still have 15 minutes. They need the full, complete game effort if you're the Blue Devils, and if you're Princeton, have to try and take advantage.
Yeah, it was a heady play right there by Tyler Carpenter. You know, he's a senior captain, All-American. You know, he's got an amazing ability to pick up ground balls and also to take away checks against defenders. You know, he's not the biggest guy, but he's one of these guys, he's just so wiry and can get right where he needs to be in order to dislodge the ball or pick the ball up and then start quick offense, get down that field. Love watching him play. He's just such a really amazing facet of this team.
Johnston will kick it off, and a good save, Gianfrancaro. That was a bouncer coming from Sloat. And an opportunity, but Princeton keeps it at 10 goals. Billings will bring it across the midline. Princeton moves quickly. Time at a premium, under 60 seconds. Quick shot and a good save. Jamison again, he's been a brick wall. They've been unable to crack the code on Jamison. It looks like he's really learned from their last game against UPenn.
Yeah, he's at 76%. You know, with having faced a barrage of shots, that's just amazing.
14 saves today for Jamison, and brings his total this season up to 65.
I mean, just so everyone knows, you know, the average save percentage in college is in the 30s and 40s. You know, when you look at just an average game, if you're playing in the 50s or 60s, you're playing out of your mind. But to be in the 70s in a game like this is just, you know, off the hook.
It's out of the stratosphere.
It really is.
It's incredible stuff, and from a freshman as well. Princeton will go rapidly. That one on the ground. They almost lost it to the Tigers, and they cough it up. And they'll get it right back. They've been calling it a little tighter these last few quarters.
I think a lot of these push calls are like, you know, just let them play calls. Like I think that Tiger, and I say this without, you know, calling it both. I want to call it both sides. I think that they need to let them play, and sometimes these guys are getting tripped up in their foot, and the other teams, both teams, are being called for pushes and things of that nature, which are smaller technical fouls without possession. And I just think they should, you know, it is a contact sport. They should let them play a little bit.
Princeton will work it around. 50 seconds to shoot. They go with Dunphy. Dunphy will launch. And a second opportunity.
I mean, that's an interesting shot, but you're going away from the goal, shooting off your back foot. Your goal line extended, you're approaching it, so you're losing your angle, and you're shooting against a goalie that's at 76% right now. So probably you want to, you know, I'm glad they have the backup. If you're Princeton, you're happy you have the backup, but it's not something that I think that right now they're trying to get as many shots as they can because they're behind by 10, but that they really need to think about what kind of shots they're taking.
You're saying quality more important than quantity at this point.
Yeah, because if they don't have those backups, it's a big deal. It goes back the other way, and you're another 75 seconds is off the clock. So
that one lips off the stick.
See, in those situations right there, that defender needs to be given the ability to fight for the ball. And they didn't call a push on that, but they've been calling that. You know, like, for example, Boyer coming up and trying to fight for that ball.
Princeton will sneak one by. They continue their assault on the offensive side. Under siege was Jamison, and the 5th goal on the board for Princeton.
Yeah, he got the step on Gray, and then he came around. I actually don't think that Jamison was dialed into the fact that he was possibly going to have such a quick release and let that go. He wasn't really set. That's the first time today but taking nothing away from him, he's had a great game. But that was a very nice move.
The sophomore Dunphy.
Yeah, Dunphy's that was a sweet move.
4th goal and 7-point this season. All 3 of his goals prior to this, though, were against Manhattan, so he breaks a stretch of a couple straight games without a goal. And Griffin Rackauer now in the game for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, Princeton transfer. Again, like Slusher, teammates. And it's got to be exciting.
You're going up against a program you were once part of their DNA. Everything that they practiced and preached, they were part of, and now on the other side. Getting another look at that today as that rattles off the cage. And Duke will gain possession. Good hustle from the Blue Devils, able to beat a couple of speeding Tigers toward that ball.
So you're seeing right now Princeton sloughing back their ride. They're packing everyone into that middle part of the field. And even when you catch it, like Boyer has it right now, you're still contested, and that's the key. So you can cross the midfield line but still lose the ball. Duke was successful right there, but that was what was vexing Duke against UPenn. That kind of ride that they just put in right now with Princeton. It was vexing. It might have even been flummoxing.
The vex and the flummox, that's how you know it's good.
Yeah, it could have flummoxed them too.
O'Neal has been uncharacteristically quiet, but it's been a team effort from around him, with Williams and Zawada cashing in with 4 goals. 25.
Yeah, I mean, if the reason that he's quiet is because they're paying so much attention to him that other guys are left uncovered, then that's something that is, it's going to happen when you have this much talent.
Shot clock was winding down. Duke had to do something with it.
Yep.
And you're exactly right. There's been other options today. It's not as if Duke has scored just 2 or 3 today. They put 14 in the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're going to have other guys open because Brennan's being tripled. So those goals are going to go to other guys, and he knows that. And it's not about, he's a captain. It's not about, whether he scores or not, but he is a force to be reckoned with.
Does have 6 shots today. A couple of ground balls picked up as well. Princeton continuing to go around. Wind up and a flick. A good looking save from Rackauer.
Yeah, and I think all of these clears right now, they want to execute them and get them over as quick as possible. But if they have to spend more time in a 4th quarter where there's 8 minutes left, they should start thinking about clock management.
Under 9 minutes to play, Duke leading by 9.
So if they can take off an extra 20 to 25 seconds per possession, whether they score or not, that really does a lot of damage to the Tigers.
It puts a lot of pressure on Princeton when they get on their offensive end, that they have to try and score. And again, it goes back to the quality over quantity situation.
Yeah.
Approaching 8 minutes to play. On the ground, scooped up by Princeton.
See, that could have been a push if they were calling it like they had been. So I think they should let him play.
Another shot on the way and another save. Rackauer adjusting quite well coming off the bench.
I'd say so. Not just quite well, like owning it.
He's owning it as he continues to block the Princeton assault.
Coach Stanowski, earlier this season, we were talking to him, and he said there is very little difference between these 2 goalies in terms of their foundational, aspects of their game, and just their how they go about it, their training, their positioning, everything. So he's really has I think a great position with all of their goalies, but these 2 in particular.
What a luxury to be able to have 2 in a position where many teams just need to get 1.
Yeah, well, when the world team coach, an all-time leading, winning coach in college lacrosse, likes the way you are positioning yourself in the goal, likes how you set up, that's a good thing.
That seems like a positive.
Yeah, that's a really good thing.
That's a big plus for sure. Under 7 minutes to play. 10 seconds for the Blue Devils. They're doing exactly what you talked about, David. It's clock management at this point.
Yeah, I think they like even if they don't score, look what happens.
And they score anyway. At the expiration of the shot clock, it'll count, and Duke is back up 10. Dyson Williams, another goal today. That is his 5th. We'll take a look at what the flag was on the field. As it stands now, Williams has his 5th goal, his 8th shot, and a 10-goal lead for Duke with 6:39 to play.
So they're going to review it.
So we'll take a timeout as they go ahead and review this. As it stands now, 15-5 Duke. There's still 6.5 to go.
So they're serving the penalty right now, and the goal counted. That was another sort of what I would call box lacrosse. Definitely Canadian influence goal by Dyson Williams. Picked it up and shovel shot right into the back. Beautiful play. Now they're man down right now, the Tigers, and they are getting swarmed by the Devils, and it looks like the man-up advantage will be preserved, although the ball is in the Blue Devils zone. And they're going to have to fight to get it back out over and set up what is remaining of the man-up opportunity.
And that was that contact to the head or neck. And that's something that can be reviewable as well this year. There's been some rule changes. That's a big one that they can go ahead and take a look at.
Yeah, the review is now on in lacrosse, and other things like if the helmet comes off, then the player has to leave the field, play has to stop, and just using the review almost as it's very similar to the NFL, where you have some levels of penalty if you call a review and then it doesn't work out. You lose not only the review, but you lose a timeout. So they're really trying to rely on that as a way to back up the good judgment of the refs, who see, I think, almost all the game, but sometimes they can't see every angle.
That one was off the cage, so a reset of the shot clock. Duke looking to strike again, and it's too easy for the Blue Devils. O'Neal had an open opportunity, makes them pay high, and Duke running away with this one with 5:13 left.
So I don't exactly know why they were left so far out, but when you look at it, O'Neal was wide open, and they were man down, yet they were chasing. Now, you could say, well, they're chasing because they would need the ball because they're down and it's the 4th quarter. But on that particular man-up play, it just seemed like a little bit chaotic on the Tigers' defense. There's no reason to go out there and play them that far out unless you really believe that you're going to be able to strip the ball and go down the other way.
And a tough guy to leave wide open as well, O'Neal.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea.
He tends to make you pay when you give him an opportunity like that. It's his 20th goal of the season.
So it's an interference. It's sort of akin to a moving pick, but it's not a moving pick. It means you're sort of standing in the way on purpose. That was an interference call against the Tigers, and it's a possession change foul.
Under 5 minutes to play, Duke is content to just bleed more clock with still 60 on the shot clock. And the Blue Devils, barring something crazy and near miraculous, are going to walk out of here with their 5th win of the season and shake off that loss to UPenn.
So looking at the other night and some of the games throughout the season, I have to say that Johnson has such a cannon. Watching Johnson shoot is unbelievable. His windup and his torque is crazy, and he gets really hard shots off. We got a hung defender.
25 seconds to shoot.
Papendick with the ball. Slusher's got it now.
And they're doing exactly what you talked about. They're content to just take it down 15, 10 seconds before they do an offensive assault. And they do just that anyway. Slusher comes through the Princeton transfer.
That's an emotional goal right there. The one thing the Devils have been doing is getting the one-step advantage from behind the goal. There's another classic example. He got the step, but way before he got to goal line extended, he's already beat his man right here. He's coming around, and it's all him, the goalie, and he's going to put it offside, which is a classic move on the ground. It's almost impossible for a goalie to stop that. One-on-one, beautiful play by the transfer from Princeton. I'm sure that's an emotional goal for him.
What a story. Alex Slusher, his second goal of the season. Honorable mention, all Ivy with Princeton, and a goal against Bellarmine earlier this season, but it's no stretch to say that this goal might mean a little bit more for him. And with under 4 minutes to play, Duke in cruise control. They continue to cycle bodies.
Connor Drake in there with the ball, just bringing it out. Wilton, Connecticut product.
Duke will do more of the same with 50 on the shot clock. Delgado with it. Duke with a 45-37 shot advantage. 34-21 on goal advantage. They've done a great job having quality opportunities today.
A little bit of a scrum in front here. The Devils trying to break it out.
Scooped up off the ground by Princeton.
Yeah, we got a break here, slow developing break, but I think at this point the Tigers are going to push it.
Princeton looking for something just to try and cushion the blow from this game against Duke, and they'll find it. That was Burns who rips a goal right past Rackauer. Princeton still trailing 17-6, but something good and some momentum moving forward for Burns.
If you think you want an option item that have not received the text yet, please make your way on the left-hand side on the index.
Good looking shot from Burns. That's his 12th goal this season. He's had 4 shots today and 2 goals. Third multi-goal game of the season.
Yeah, and I think it's in this, summing up what we've seen here today is, Duke was able to exert its will on Princeton, and the other night UPenn did the same to Duke. That's really that's the dynamic, and you can break it down across all different parts of the game, all different facets of the game, different locations, different conditions. But when one team can exert its will and its game plan on the other team, you're going to have a victory. And I think that's what we've seen here today.
What a triumphant battle back from Duke. They trailed in this game, remember, 2-0 early on, and they put that behind them rather quickly. They've shaken off their loss to UPenn and are looking every bit of that top team in the country.
Yep. I think that there was a reckoning after the UPenn game, and they understood what was on the line. There's still a tremendous amount of high-quality games that are within Duke's schedule from an RPI standpoint, and all of these teams. So we don't know what the final outcome of this is going to be. But it's definitely right now something where you've got a tremendous amount of talent fighting for those limited spots in May.
99 seconds to play. Each and every game is going to be so important, and you talked about how important out-of-conference play is, and when you have those games, you have to take advantage of them, because when you get into conference, no matter where you play, you're just beating up on one another.
Yeah, well, also, this was an important game for Duke to come back to reset, because it happens actually before a lot of the polls come out. The polls are going to come out on Monday, Tuesday, and I think that they have this ability to reset. Carolina as well. So playing 2 games this close could be detrimental, but if you lose one and then you have a great win like this, it can actually not act as a full offset, but I think it's going to factor in.
Help it balance out just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, and underscore the idea that there are, on any given day in the top 20, even maybe the top 30, on any given day, though, in the top 20, one team can beat the other one. So, and that's what we're seeing. Parity, expansion across geographies, guys who are star players that are coming from states that really never have had lacrosse. It's a great thing. It's the creator's game that's coming to life, you know?
And it's very cool to see it, watch it all unfold, and witnessing it firsthand today at Koskinen Stadium, where Duke is going to walk out of here a winner. The question is just by how much, as Princeton will play with a man up for the next 15 seconds. And they'll cash one more in. Cosmetic at this point, but Princeton makes it 17-7.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the best things that I'm going to be watching for, well, this was a great textbook goal, and you know, you can look at Mackesy just doing what he's done all season long. Huge windup on that thing. It was, you know, just ping the upper corner. Not really much that, you know, Rackauer could do against that. But what I think on that note of goalies is that, you know, when you have a freshman goalie in a game like this that is at 73%, I mean, that's really remarkable. And I say that as the father of a college goalie. Like, you know, those are percentages that are stratospheric, as to borrow your words. And I'm interested in how that develops through the rest of the season, because now he knows he can do it in a big game and do it in a huge way.
Impressive stuff today from Jamison. I borrowed Flummox and Vex from you, Stratospheric. You know, the give and take. That's what makes it work.
I like Stratospheric.
Princeton will score once more with 22.3 remaining. Another one that's cosmetic. Perhaps Duke not too excited about that. It's down to 9.
Yeah, no, I think that was just a nice little give and go. Rackauer got a piece of it. It came, you know, sort of on his hip side, on his hip with stick side, and you know, it snuck in there. But you know, Duke's doing a lot of subbing right now. They've got some of their guys that they're rotating in. So there's it's a good goal of Coach Stanowski. He likes to make sure he gets a lot of players in big games like this. So this is a great thing.
10 seconds left as the Blue Devils putting the finishing touches on this one. And the clock will expire. Duke a winner today. They bounce back in spectacular fashion against the Princeton Tigers, and they're back on the winning track.